Hi, very good morning. Myself, I'm Professor Rajagopalan, associated with International School of Business and Media for the past 2 years. Briefly, my background is I worked for 17 years across US, Europe, Japan, Africa, and India in global markets in world-class firms such as Citicorp, Wipro Technologies, iFlex, now it is Oracle Financial Services, in functions ranging from marketing, consulting, strategy, product management, and sales for 17 years till about 2009. In the last 10 years, I've been teaching in some of the top B schools across India in their MBA programs. And currently, I'm associated with ISBM for the past close to 2 years now. I also do consulting to keep myself updated on solving, what are the real world, business problems and issues which corporates face. So I have a combination of teaching, corporate work, consulting, as well as I've started my research work also. So combined, I'm able to bring in value, I hope, to my students. So this is a brief background of myself. And ISBM, as you know, has been there for the past close to 15 plus years. Started off in Pune, and then, we have campuses across Pune, Kolkata, as well as in Bangalore. So over to you, Manish. Yeah.
A warm welcome to you, sir. Thanks for joining us for the interview. It's always a great session to interact with you and gain some insights from your experience.
Yeah.
So moving on to the interview part. So my first question is, what is the latest program that you're offering in your institute which will help students outperform and stand apart from the crowd?
Yeah, so what we have done is we have taken the last 2.5 months, starting from April, we have taken a very close look at, looking at our course curriculum in terms of 3 or 4 factors. One is, what are the inputs we are getting from, the industry in terms of the relevance as well as, future-proofing the course. Number one. Number two is, what has been the requirements in terms of skills which the students need to have when they pass out and become industry ready and become productive for employers as soon as possible, right? When they are getting into their first career role. 3 is looking at the academic inputs in terms of research. In terms of what is happening in various areas. 4 is, we spoke extensively, interviewed our alumni, which is a strength of ISBM in terms of who are currently mid-management, plus senior managers across different firms, in terms of, their inputs in terms of, they are in the industry and they are the right people to give suggestions, recommendations, and even advice in terms of inputs. Combining all this, we have now come out with 3 or 4, major initiatives in terms of our, program. The first initiative is what we call as a learning path. The learning path essentially is fundamental in terms of 3 areas. One is in terms of professional skills for business, which we call as PSB. The second area is in terms of data centricity and data-driven decision making. That is the second path. And the third path is digital transformation. How digital technologies are impacting the various aspects of business management discipline. So these 3 paths, when we did a lot of research, many colleges approach these in different way. One is they have some modules, add-on modules, they got some certification courses. But then we felt that all the 3 has to be threaded and integrated into the 2-year program itself, right? It should not be, because, if you take, for example, business analytics, data-driven decision making, right? It is a tool, right, which they need to apply while solving, real world problems, as well as to face, challenges when they are on the job. So we cannot look at these things, separately outside the PGDM program. We need to thread it and integrate it into the PGDM course itself. That is the single most important initiative we have taken in terms of, giving an edge to our students, a competitive edge and value to the students in the three areas, which is professional skills for business, data-driven decision making, data centricity and data-driven decision making, and 3 years impact of digital transformation in business. Yeah.
Sir, moving on to the next, what are the factors that make these programs the best for the students to opt?
See, what is happening is, there is a new normal, right? Post-COVID, things are moving very fast. No longer, we are the days are gone when you do a, program. Like in my time, we do a course or we do a postgraduate program, and that skill or knowledge, is relevant to us for, say, 15 years, 20 years. Those days are gone. So we need to look at the entire program into, parts where what are the skills, what are the abilities which will stand with the student for quite some time, which we call as durable skills, or even in terms of knowledge, we call as first principles. So the focus is how do we, impart each area, whether it is finance or marketing or HR. There are some core first principles which stand the test of time, right? For example, focusing on customer value. How do you focus on value delivered to a customer is central to marketing, right? So how do you do, financial analysis of a balance sheet is central to finance, right? How do you understand, what are the basic concepts and first principles and understanding employee motivation is central to HR. So the first level is understanding and imparting knowledge in terms of what are the first principles which stand the test of time. The second thing is how these first principles are translated and, applied is what the change comes, right? Every 2 years, every 3 years, the change can be due to, the expectations from the industry. The change can be driven due to developments in information technology. The change can be transformation coming through all aspects of business through digital. So how students are equipped to handle the change, right? The ability to learn, right? Which is going to be a key thing for students, lifelong learners, right? Ability to refresh themselves, ability to update themselves. So in that aspect, we are looking at professional skills for business. For example, communication skills, right? How you communicate, the first principles remain the same, right? But then, the tools, technologies change. So again, there are two parts. So we are looking at the entire thing in terms of first principles, in terms of knowledge delivery, and in terms of, how they need to be taken and adapted and applied in the real world as professional skills, right? So these two are the guiding philosophies when we are looking at, providing edge to our students in terms of, how they can, because the initial placement is a strong determinant of their overall career success. A lot of research has happened, right? So how these are going to help in their initial placements, as well as how durable all these skills and principles going to stand with them for, at least midterm. We are talking about 10 to 15 years into their career. So that is how, these are the two things which you are, highly focused on while designing, developing and delivering our PGDM program.
Okay. What will you say the best practices in the courses you are offering?
There are a couple of best practices which we are trying to, which we are incorporating, right? As the first best practices is connected to what I spoke earlier on the learning path, right? For example, I'll take two examples. The first example is professional services for business, PSB. Right now, our new batch is probably joining in July or August. So we have got a foundation program, which is, for example, lays the foundation in terms of why these professional skills are important and what are the important professional skills which the students need to look at in the next 2 years, which they need to practice and become proficient at. Right, that is the fundamental foundation course. And then we look at the PSB 1, which is the professional services for business in the term 1. Because when you really look at it, you need to handhold what is a learning path? Learning path is a student starts at a point A when he joins the program, and then hence his journey at point B at the end of 2 years after the program. How do we, handhold the students and take him through that 2 years journey in specific areas? The first area being professional skills. So we are looking at not a one-shot, course like a business communication, or we are looking at a kind of a path, right? That is what the second aspect is of professional skills for business. See, look at, for example, if you take presentation skills, right? How do you make world-class presentations? Now, that is a kind of a macro skill. It's a composite skill, right? If you break it down, it has got technical skill, like making slides or whatever technology they want to use. It has got, verbal communication. It has got, non-verbal communication, right? It has got active listening, right? And active questioning to engage with the audience. If you look at these 4 or 5 things, these put together becomes the composite skill of making a world-class presentation. So making a world-class presentation will be some sort of a intermediate level, right? And then the higher level is, for example, you give complex business cases, right? In terms of, for example, the case interview scenarios, right? And ask the students to apply critical thinking, right? And then communicate to the interviewer how he or she would go about solving the business problem on hand. So, which is the application. So, if you look at PSB, the learning path is the foundation. The second stage is the micro skills. The third stage is the macro skills, which are the composite skills, and the fourth stage is application of those skills, right, for specific case scenarios, right? Situations where they have to solve problems or manage a challenging situation. So this is a path which starts from the foundation program, which when the first year students start till the time they pass out. It's a continuous thread. Number 2 is when you look at data centricity, there is a learning path for data centricity and data driven decision making, right? Now, what is the learning path? Again, there is a foundation program of 20 hours which talks about, right, what is data, right? How people can look at data. What are the patterns of data, right? For example, there is a Niti Aayog report which we are going to use extensively on social development indicators of various states, which has come out in June 2020. Look at the data, right, and ability to visualize data and tell a story in and around the data. Right. So to cultivate the mindset, data-centric mindset, right? That is at the foundation level. The second is, when they go into term 1, they got quantitative techniques 1 and quantitative techniques 2, which talks about mathematics for business, right? Which talks about the basic, probability, right? And, data distributions. And then we move to research methods where they use, data, either qualitative data or quantitative data, and start with defining a business problem, a research problem, data collection, and then applying the data to solve, right, arrive at some recommendations or, insights for managerial action. That is research methods. And then we introduce, business analytics, right? Business analytics is, right, you have big data. We got, and then, how do you use tools, technologies, right, to solve, business problems, right, which is an introduction to application of business analytics. And then the second year, as they move, then they specialize in, say, marketing, right? I'm looking at introducing a new course on applied marketing analytics, right? Or finance is looking at, financial analytics. Or HR is looking at HR analytics, right? And then using these tools, methods, which they have accumulated to solving, problems in their, domains. So this is what I meant when I said that we need to look at, so it is not an add-on module of introduction to, business analytics. There is one more, students will not understand the context, right? What is data sciences, right? Suddenly, you can't have these as standalone modules. My feel is at the end of the day, students should have the capability to look at a business problem, the capability to look at a managerial situation, the challenges, and then look at what are the tool sets or the weapons he or she has, and then use them, judiciously to solve the real world problems and manage the situation. So that is the learning path number 2, which is on data centricity and data-driven decision making. And then the digital transformation, right? You start with using digital tools. Digital is a mindset first, right? How do you use mobile? How do you use for running your day-to-day life? So we are enabling the entire campus, right? Using, learning management systems, right? Which are all digital technologies. So we are trying to bring in the experiential learning into the classroom, physical classroom, and then all the support activities in terms of assignments, in terms of grading, in terms of scheduling, in terms of reminders, in terms of online collaboration. All these tools are digital tools. So it kind of primes the student when they enter into the MBA program to be mobile first, to be digital first in terms of using digital to run their, in this case, their professional life is the college life as well as their personal life, getting that digital mindset and the digital environment. 2 is in the courses, right? We are talking about digital marketing, for example, and then we are talking about, fintech. There is a new course which are introducing in financial technology, right? Application of technology in various aspects of business. It can be retail, right? How digital is transforming the entire retail supply chain, right? And e-commerce, right? So this is the third, learning path. So the essence is that our design is in terms of giving the integration, giving the threading of all these into the PGDM program, and while doing that, enabling students to future-proof themselves and be placement ready also.
Okay, that's a great insights, sir. Moving on to the next question, what are some valuable insights of the program that you are offering at your institute?
See, the insights, if I look at a student perspective, right, a prospective student, because end of the day, students have to get value, right? One is, of course, a lot of people are talking about return on investment, right? Of course, yes, right? Given the difficulty in the economy, how they need to, many of them have to take loans and fund their MBA programs. What is the return on the program, which is measurable in terms of their placements, etc.? How valuable they are to the companies which are coming. So one is to enhance that aspect in terms of these 3 learning paths which we are integrating into the program. The second thing is that doesn't stop there. This is kind of, as I said, this has to be durable, right? They have to do well at least till the time they cross their mid-management level. Next 8 to 10 years. What are the durable things which they can take away from this program, which will stand with them for quite some time into their career, right? So their career progression is faster, better, and they repeatedly demonstrate value in turn to their employers, right? So I would strongly recommend students to look at those programs which can make which can enable them to do these 2 things simultaneously, right? One is the immediate benefit, another is the short to at least a mid-term benefit of next 8 to 10 years into their career. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the next. How does the program ensures that the students are being prepared for the future?
Yeah, I think I answered that, in terms of future proofing, right? As I said, the focus is on first principles in terms of knowledge delivery, which stands the test of time. The second is, looking at these 3-4 areas, which is, the fundamental skills, professional skills. 2 is the data centricity, which is going to be there for quite some time. It's going to be all the way data now, right? And 3rd is digital transformation, which is again sort of, future-proofing their, PGDM program, right? To make them, ready for the future workforce, right? The third important aspect is, which I want to stress again from the point which I spoke earlier, is no longer students should look at, I got a degree and that's about it. Those days are gone, right? They have to reinvent themselves. They have to many times unlearn, relearn. So learnability, right? Whether they become, meta-aware, they call it as, meta-awareness, right? They are aware of, their own thinking process. They are aware in terms of, where they stand, self-awareness, right? And then, evaluate critically themselves at, various points in time, after 2 years, after 4 years, after 6 years, right? So we are giving them tools, we are giving them, methods and practices where they can become self-aware, right? They have the ability to learn, right? That is very, very important, because 2 years, yes, fine. Up to 8 to 10 years, it will stand with them. But after that, we don't know. We can't, see after that what is going to happen, right? But then if we give them these tools, techniques, methods, frameworks, and ability to think, right? Critical thinking, innovative thinking, design thinking. These are some of the workshops which we are planning as part of the professional skills of business in the last term, which is a higher order, thinking skills, right? So these are the things, which we feel strongly that, will help the students to future-proof themselves by doing an MBA program from ISBM.
Okay. And moving on to the next question, how do you tend to build an industry connect with these programs?
Yeah, there are 4 aspects to this industry connect, right? The first aspect is how are we engaging industry to give inputs, right, into the design of the program, right? So that we are aligning closer and closer to the industry. One of the common, complaint from the industry is there is a gap between what industry wants and what the MBA program is delivering, right? How do we continually, close this gap, right? So we got an academic council. As I said, when we started this exercise, right, we did a couple of things. For example, myself, I spoke to my peers, my seniors from Wipro Technologies, Oracle Financial Services, in terms of, in my area, which is marketing, sales, business development, consulting, product management, innovation, all these areas, right? And found out, what is the view which the corporate has, right? That is very, very critical, because it is going to go into the design of the courses. And then, we have solid alumni who are all, we in fact, for designing the marketing courses, I had an alumni who is about 11 years into the industry in UK, and I had one alumni who is in Bangalore, who is a regional manager, right? 2 of them helped us to kind of even review the course outlines, and, that such a level of engagement from the industry in terms of inputs into the design of the courses. That is the first aspect. That is one industry, engagement. The second level of industry engagement is, of course, the internships, right? So, I have worked in multiple colleges, MBA colleges before in the last 11 years, right? Like IFMR, IFIM, Amrita School of Business, right? I worked all, right? But then the immersive nature of 4 to 5 months of internship, this is the first time I'm seeing, in an MBA program, right? It's almost 4 to 5 months of complete immersion, right? With a mentor-mentee kind of, there is a mentor from the college side, there is a mentor from the corporate side. And I have weekly calls. As we speak, I have got weekly calls with 3 of my mentees, right, on what they are doing on the job, right? And then I talk to their mentor also from the corporate side and see, students are getting value out of their internships. That is very, very important, right? That is the second level of industry connect. The third level of industry connect is fairly, innovative, right? I've not seen anywhere, and we are initiating it. In fact, when I was designing the course outline, I was talking to the gentleman in UK, ISBM alumni, and here in Bangalore, that why don't they, give us what I call as request for problems, right? Right, let them, take one problem they are facing, an ISBM alumni, right? And then package the problem and send it to me and to my team of students, right? Why can't we look at the problem? It can be a market research to collect data and do some analysis, or it can be analytics. We are talking to IBM to establish, so IBM labs in ISBM in Bangalore to start with. Now we can use some tools and do some analytics and give them, some solutions, support for their day-to-day, work and execution of, problems they face. Right. So what I'm trying to say is we are calling this program as a request for problems. We have 1,500 alumni, 500 almost in Bangalore itself, in and around Bangalore, or more than that, I don't know how many across, India. So we are requesting them to give us, problems, business problems. And then, with a faculty, with a set of mentors, we will work on these business problems so that the students get a hands-on in terms of, what is happening in the industry, right? How his or her knowledge is getting translated into action, right? That is very, very key. So this is the third level initiative, which is fairly unique and, which we are trying to implement from this term onwards in terms of request for problems. This is the third level of connect. The fourth level is, of course, the placements, right? Where we need to, we hope through this request for problem mechanism with, solid internships, plus the placements record which we have, we will be able to, continue the placements, one. And then with these kind of learning paths which we offer to our students, we do hope that our industry connect in terms of, recruiters from the industry, becomes much more, deeper, better in terms of we delivering, value to our students, who in turn deliver value on their job. So these are the four, I would say, dimensions of, industry connect. The third being, which is very innovative, very different. And second, there is a differentiation in terms of a long, because if it is only 2 months internship, I have done 2 months internship. By the time I go settle down, it's about 10, 12 days. By the time I need to leave, it is another next 1 week to write the final report. Net, I have only 30 days. I don't know what I don't know what I did. But then, you have to really, immerse the students into the, internship, in a very systematic fashion. Mm-hmm. So these are the four levels in which, we engage students, engage with the industry to develop these, connects.
Okay.
Of course, we do consulting, we do, we are part of associations, right? All those things are there, which are there. Yeah.
What are the types of projects that the students are working on through these programs?
Yeah. So one is, definitely we have started this, if you look at this request for problem, these are not packaged work, right? These are all small projects, right? Number one. Number two is, we are looking at experiential learning in the class. That means that, for example, I had a marketing research course, right? Unfortunately, I couldn't implement it this time. We are situated in an industrial area, and, we are part of that industry association where, I asked them, we actually had a couple of calls with the industry association to go, identify market research problems and do projects as part of the coursework. Right, but due to Corona, it could not be executed, last term. But then we are looking at this actively in the coming term, right? So one is the request for problem mechanism. The second is projects as part of the coursework, right? The third is in terms of the internship, which in itself can have multiple projects. One of my mentees are working in associate of Amazon on the business process re-engineering side. So out of 4 months, he's going to have 3 projects, right? One is on accounts payable, receivable processes. Another is, vendor payments. And third is accounts receivables, accounts payables, and vendor payments, right? So these are the 3 distinct projects which will be as part of the internships. So these 3 put together, I would say that, these are well aligned to, because the moment you talk about projects, no point, giving projects which are internal, right, which are theoretical, right? It is best, there is some form of, industry connect, which is already all involved into the projects itself. So that is a mechanism through which we are trying to drive the projects now.
Okay. Moving on to our last question, sir. What are the benefits and career options after pursuing these courses?
See, significant benefit, I would say. I was also an MBA grad, so that the thing is that significant benefit is going to be the takeaways they are going to have from the program, right? From the way we have visualized it and we are implementing it, right? The learning paths and whatever we are trying to do. One is the benefit. Of course, we are in active discussion. For example, looking at the ecosystem, right? Business analytics, right? It is not only ISBM who says that we ourselves give a degree and the transcripts, etc. And I am actively engaged in talking with, say, IBM career education, IBM CE. I'm in touch with the country manager. We are talking in terms of integrating the IBM lab analytics courses. There are three levels of courses. One is the descriptive analytics. Second is the predictive, and third is the big data analytics. These three modules, integrated into the overall, data-driven decision-making, learning path. Now, if you look at this, that will be IBM will give them the badge. IBM will give them the certification jointly with, say, ISBM. That is of significant benefit and value, because one of the most popular courses, if you see in Coursera or is IBM certification for business analytics, right? So we are trying to provide that environment integrated into the PGDM program itself as part of the threading I'm talking about, right? How do you thread it into your overall course? So that is going to be a significant benefit. So of course, we feel that by aligning the projects with the industry, right? They can think, in terms of the MBA program is not a certificate, right? What is the end of the day? The MBA program, in essence, is the capability and the ability of the student to, go out, right? Manage, challenging situations, right? And solve real world problems. This is what the MBA should equip them with, right? So this is going to be, I think, by realigning and our rethinking and redesigning and delivering this program, they'll be able to do it, extremely successfully. So this is going to be a significant takeaway for students, I would guess.
Okay, that's all for the day, sir. Thank you for being with us and share your experience and your industry insights. It was a great session having you here.
Yeah.
And
thank you, Manish. So nice of you. So let us see. Just I hope the purpose is this, right? The students should take responsibility. We are also helping them. The ability to take the response. We say responsibility, right? That ability is what we'll try to provide so that they can take more and more responsibilities, right, inside the campus as well as when they go out. Yeah.
Yes, sir.